It's back in spring 2022. I'm 15 years old and I'm in my home, locked away in my bedroom. I'm on my computer watching something that I should not be watching. I'm watching self improvement videos. But worse than that, I'm procrastinating from something important that I should be doing right now. I'm wasting time watching video after video after video. I'm watching videos on how to quit procrastination and I'm literally procrastinating while watching them. I've procrastinated for so long that the time goes like 11 am to 12 o'clock to 1 pm. It's literally time for the next meal of the day. So I go to the kitchen, eat something, and go back to procrastinating instead of doing the important task that I'm supposed to be doing. Eventually, it gets so late that I'm actually starting to feel aggressive and anxious. So I get up from my computer, go into the other room, and grab my shirt, my pant, and my shoes. 15 minutes later, I'm red faced, sweating, and panting. I'm doing exercise. So I'm thinking to myself, why did I procrastinate this all day? I should have done this workout like 9 am, but here I am, hours and hours later. My name is Afan, and I have made this full guide on discipline that's taken me a lot of time. I want to take you from being more like a normal average person who isn't very disciplined, who misses a lot of workouts, and who doesn't do their studying or their work on time. Sometimes you get bursts of motivation to go to the gym or to do work, but it's so infrequent that it starts to sacrifice your life and your goals. So I want to make that way more consistent for you. I've spent the last 1.5 weeks putting together this full guide. It's taken me over 40 hours and I've read 2 entire books. I've put it all together in one guide. So this is the one full guide that you need to be more disciplined. You can put your trust in this one. If you follow one rule, watch it in order. I've racked my brain to think like, what are the specific steps in order that you would need to know? So it's very important that you don't click around and jump around. If you're going to spend 10 minutes today and 20 minutes tomorrow and 30 minutes a day after watching this video, just simply watch it in order. I promise you that by the end of this video, if you put in the work and follow the actionable steps that I have laid out for you, you will become a disciplined young man. Here's your first actionable step of the guide. If you just close your eyes and visualize, how were you 1 year ago? You will realize that maybe you are a bit more disciplined and consistent than you realize. Because if you picture the younger you who was far more awkward, he liked working out less, struggled with work and studying a lot more than you do now. You can just see him being awkward as heck, fixing his shirt or something for no reason in a social setting. You can open your eyes. You've made more progress than you have realized. Naturally, when you get onto self-improvement and the fact that you found this video, chances are you are already on a fantastic trajectory to improve your life, which is awesome. Now what we just need to do is give you a real protocol, a step-by-step guide to take that to the next level. Step 0. Understanding discipline. Before we begin in making you more disciplined, we have to actually understand it. And I guarantee you don't even know what discipline actually is. Because a lot of people think discipline is going to the gym. A lot of people think discipline is doing hard work. It's not. Discipline is not doing something that's hard. It's doing something that you specifically didn't feel like doing. So we need to explain 3 concepts which you are going to find really interesting. Because there's motivation, there's discipline, and there's willpower. You need to know the difference between these 3, and most people don't even know this. Motivation is desire, it is craving. It is when you want to do something. Discipline is persisting. It's doing something that you aren't motivated for. It's doing the hard work, especially when you didn't feel like it. And willpower is resisting. It's not doing something even when you feel like it. So, I'm motivated for the gym means I want to go to the gym. I use discipline to go to the gym means I didn't feel like going to the gym but I went anyway. And I used my willpower not to eat the junk food meant that I was motivated to eat the junk food I wanted to but I specifically didn't, even though I felt like it. Because motivation is fickle, it can come and go. But discipline is here to stay because it's a character trait that we can build inside of us. It's only discipline if you didn't feel like it. And this is why, as a man, it's so easy to win. 99% of men are just chasing instant gratification because they are so easy to fall down. They want the fast results in their business. So they are not willing to wait or to sacrifice or to settle for something for the long term. They want to watch right now because they feel a sense of loneliness or a sense of being deprived of intimacy, which they won't go and solve long term through improving themselves and learning how to navigate a relationship with a woman. So they'll just go and get that online right now. They want a sense of status and brotherhood, but they'll get that in video games right now because it's instant. So 99% of men are doing that. If you became the 1% of men, literally just do the fundamentals of not doing the ultimate degenerate habits, and you've already in the top few percentile of men. Getting into the top 1% of men will not come from any kind of monumental act. If you're starting to feel properly motivated right now and you've started to visualize this super hard grunting workout or making this fancy business, it's not about that. Beating your competition isn't about some big act that you've done. It's just about showing up every day and setting the intention to try and do it a little better. The guy who stayed in the basketball court for an extra 5 minutes when everyone else went home is the one who becomes the world champion afterward. I bet you'll agree with this. It is also harder to be lazy than it's to be disciplined. Yes, it's harder to be lazy than it is to be disciplined. To be disciplined means that we have to go hit a workout today. It means that we can't watch today. You know it's kind of difficult, fair enough. But to be lazy, to be undisciplined is harder because that means then you have to deal with the demons inside your mind every single day knowing that you are not living up to your potential. Dealing with negative thoughts, going to sleep and overthinking, randomly getting a memory of some weird awkward thing that you did 6 years ago, it's tough. You feel like a crap. And everyone treats you with disrespect because you don't deserve the respect. Generally, imagine the kind of lives that other people live when they don't even consider improving their discipline. So they just go from one easy source of dopamine to the next, sacrificing their future self's happiness for today's pleasure. Then they wonder 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the line why they're fat and depressed. It's because they did it. It's because we did this at some point. I'm glad that we are on this path where we have stopped sacrificing ourselves and instead we are making life better for our future selves. Self-discipline is a treat for your future self. Discipline is the ultimate act of self-love because you are saying, you know what, all this modern technology, video games that have been made by companies who didn't care about me. If I killed myself today, this company wouldn't give a fuck. They'd only care because one user went inactive. How is this nice for me? But if I quit watching today, my future self is going to be recovering slowly and slowly. 3 days in and he feels like he's gotten a bit more lust, a bit more male aggression inside of him. Testosterone's level are rising. 2 months without and you start to feel very healthy. A year without and you stop getting those flashes of dirty thoughts of that you remember. The ultimate act of self-love is discipline. In the long run, it's much more painful to be undisciplined. There's a quote that I like, nobody who has given themselves over to excess is having a good time. Here's an actionable step I want you to do. I want you to go onto YouTube right now, maybe open up a new tab, and I want you to search for this name, Nick Ocado. Nickokado. You go find his YouTube channel. He's morbidly obese man who made a YouTube channel of him eating a lot of food and it's getting a lot of views. And he's become like obese. This man deserves to die early. Now I know that a lot of people watching this will just get panicked and think wait, he said something that's really bad after we've been told never to speak like that. This isn't my opinion. This isn't like my viewpoint. I don't want him to die. But he deserves to. He deserves to feel this obliterating pain in his heart until he ceases to exist. This chokeness in his throat. He deserves to feel it. I know it sounds horrible, but there's something that you must understand right here, right now, if you want to live a good life. You deserve the consequences of your actions. This is worth for you to really write down now, to stick it up on your wall and set it as your phone wallpaper. I deserve the consequences of my actions. So why don't you just make it so that you deserve what you want? Some people deserve to be obese, sick and close to death, whilst others deserve to have a six pack, to have high testosterone, to have a wonderful relationship. Others deserve to make a lot of money. Others deserve to be depressed and suicidal, because it all comes down to the acts that we are willing to partake in. And so if you are willing to do, for example, like this young man is eat and eat and eat and eat, you deserve the consequence of that. Now, of course, some shallow breather might be watching this and think, oh, but you deserve to be hit by a bus or bearing extreme circumstances. Let's use our brain here. Extreme circumstances, extreme accidents are different. If you have literally done everything right, you're just walking on the pathway, and the car, there's a freak accident and the brick gets thrown up into the air or the car swerves into you, even though you were on the pathway, that's a bit different. But if you are overeating your calories every single day, you deserve to be fat. And if you deserve to be fat, then you deserve to be sick. And if you deserve to be sick, then you deserve to have a higher risk of mortality. This is the consequence of lack of discipline. So I think it's very worthwhile for you to take few seconds right now and think about what you want to deserve. Not just what you want. Remember, nobody gives a fuck about what you want, but what you want to deserve. I want to deserve a six pack. How could I deserve a six pack? I've trained abs 3 or 5 times a week, go on a calorie deficit, and do cardio. Doesn't sound so cool now, does it? It almost sounds a bit stupid and autistic. But this is what you want out of life, and this is how you get it. Just make it so that you deserve that thing. Take a second right now as an actionable step to think about what you want to deserve in life, and your brain will already start to work on how to achieve it. What I will say is the greatest reward of being disciplined is not the physique, the money, or the relationship, but it is the person that you become. I know that there are quite a lot of guys watching this video who it won't really click in their minds, so I just want to explain this. Imagine genuinely waking up every day and being happy that you are you. I wanted to be that other guy. I wanted to be the guy with the real world results. I wanted to be the guy with the six packs. I wanted to be the man who had the likes on Instagram. It's about your own internal perception. You start to like yourself. You start to respect yourself. My brain is producing more and more positive thoughts about myself than ever. When your brain wonders, when you are trying to read and it thinks about something else or recalls memories and stuff, my brain mostly now goes to the positive stuff. Certainly, it's not like I'm just egotistical, thinking that I'm amazing, but it's more that I've got a sense of bliss thinking, yeah, well done, awesome progress, I've been working super hard. I'm not thinking that I'm better than everyone else and I don't need to learn anymore. It's the exact opposite. I really do think, okay, I want to learn more. What can I learn? How can I improve? So I've got a student mindset, but it's just very positive and pleasant. I think that's the best reward of discipline so far. Step 1. Ego. Before we can really begin to get super disciplined, we need to destroy your ego. Because there's a reason why you are not going to make any progress watching this. There's a reason why you are going to stay in the same position. I hope you don't, but there is going to be a huge reason, and it's purely ego. It's ego because you think that you are too good for what will it take to improve your discipline. I guarantee you do. You'd probably think right now, I don't know, it's been made apparent in your mind right now. I guarantee when I tell you the real way to increase your discipline, you are going to think it's beneath you. And when you think that, you won't make any progress. Remember that gaming term, noob? You need to have a noob's mindset to discipline. Because most guys don't do this. The real way to be disciplined is not like David Goggins doing this big ridiculous runs. He's decades into this, so that's different. But it's not like doing this big ridiculous run or this 8-hour workout, the super long workout with loads and loads of set. It's none of that. The real way to be disciplined is finding the easiest good habits that you consistently aren't doing and start doing that. It's so uncool. It's so boring. But discipline is not that massive workout. It's cleaning up the mess on the floor, It's like the one piece of clothing that you have had on the floor for the last 48 hours. It's picking that up and putting it somewhere. Discipline is taking those water bottles and putting them away. Not even drinking from the plastic water bottles anyway, but let's say you have water bottles in your room. Discipline is literally just fixing that stuff up. You know that there's that cringe piece of advice like, oh, make your bed. You know, discipline is making your bed, and the first route to success or changing the world is to make your bed. You know why every single military in every single country places an emphasis on things like making your bed? Really, just ask yourself this question. Why? Because that's the real discipline. The real discipline is not charging into war and being super heroic. It's making your bed when you didn't want to. It's these thousands of many disciplines that the other people will ignore, saying, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's that your ego is bigger than this task at hand. Your ego is stopping you from improving. If you think that something doesn't matter, if you think that the art is not going to make a difference, so you'll just cut the corner there. That's because of ego. Not that it's the objective truth of the world, whether or not making your bed makes you more disciplined. It's your big fat ego that's stopping you from making progress. You need to start challenging your own brain. People talk about critical thinking, about not just taking one piece of advice at once. Your own brain has convinced you to watch over 1,000 times in your life, so your brain probably shouldn't be automatically trusted, right? Think about this. When was the last time your own mind convinced you to watch without an objective universal fact that it's a bad thing? Your own brain convinced you to do it. So you are not as smart as you think you are. So when your brain is telling you, oh yeah, this video is kind of stupid, he's telling me to make my bed, he's telling me to pick up another piece of clothing from the floor, that's not going to do anything. I'll go watch another David Goggins or Andy Ted motivational workout. Maybe don't listen to your brain and start with the thing that will actually work. Look in your rubbish bin, it's probably full right now. There's an empty water bottle around, and there's stuff all over the floor. Your bed sheets are not made. This is the daily act of discipline. This is exactly what you do to destroy your ego and begin leveling up your discipline. Pick one or two of these things that you have proven to yourself that you usually don't do. This is the important part. The small task that I am telling you to do consistently has to be one that you have proven to yourself you usually don't do because you don't like to do it. So discipline is not about waking up and doing 50 push-ups because you are going to be motivated for that. Discipline is looking around your room right now and thinking to yourself, you know what, I've always got clothes on the floor, so clearly I'm not disciplined enough to clean that up. That's going to be my new discipline activity. Specifically, when you start to do that activity, you need to know that every single time you do it, you are not going to want to do it. It's going to feel annoying, and there's going to be some kind of BS scope in your mind. Whether it says, oh well, I'll do it later, or I don't need to do this anyway. Discipline's stupid anyway. There's going to be some kind of scope, right? Because that's the whole point. You are not motivated to do it. So you need to be vigilant for your brain to start coping and creating these excuses. It's these small, insignificant things that are training ground for your discipline. You can never think that you are above these things, that you can reserve your discipline for the big parts when you are leveled up. Right now, you need to still keep working on these small things. It's very important that you destroy your ego and really start saying to yourself, you know what, I'm actually not that great. I'm not that advanced right now. I'm not past the point where something like cleaning up my room wouldn't help me. I'm not past that point where something like doing a tiny bit of exercise wouldn't help me. Because a lot of people get stuck at this stage because of ego. Here's your actionable step for this part of the guide. Pick one daily habit, one task that you usually don't do that would require discipline. It might be, for example, wiping your computer desk every day, or it could be making your bed every day. It's very important that you start with something small. Begin with just one habit and then you can make into a habit tracker. Step 2. Leveling up. Now we want you to level up so that you actually start to accomplish bigger goals because you know Just cleaning up your room is kind of nice, but we really want to build something, right? Let's talk about some big goals and how you'd actually level up your discipline. For example, let's say building an aesthetic body like a 10 out of 10 physique from the gym. The way to use discipline for this is to figure out the exact constraints, the micro tasks, the current areas of weaknesses, and the specific tasks that you are lacking in. So, for example, with building a nice physique in the gym, a lot of guys think that it's just working out and dieting. And then they try to discipline themselves in those two areas, working out and dieting, working out and dieting, working out and dieting. Sure, when you first begin, discipline is going to the gym because you might not want to go. But after a while, you start liking the gym and you become motivated to go. So it's like you are not using your discipline to go to the gym anymore. There is an interesting point. Many guys who go to the gym think that they are disciplined, but they are not because they are motivated for it. If you take the same guy and put them in front of a computer and tell them to do a 90 minutes of deep work, they might struggle. Showing that it's not about being disciplined if you go to the gym when you are motivated to do so. It's still difficult, but it doesn't require discipline because you felt like going. So let's say right now you have been going to the gym consistently and making some progress. And you are probably kind of motivated for it right now. This means that your discipline is kind of saved for something else. Most guys will stop here and wonder why they are making fewer gains as time goes on. This is because they are not utilizing discipline at the next level, the next step. You are consistently going to the gym, but there's somewhere in the realm of fitness that currently requires your discipline, and you may not be very conscious of it. The task could be as specific as making sure your kitchen scale always has charged batteries inside it. Sometimes you might find that when the batteries dies, you don't end up tracking your food intake for a week at times. By identifying and focusing on the specific tasks that require discipline, you can take your fitness goals to the next level and achieve even greater success. Exactly. These new specific habits require your discipline compared to that big thing you used to do, like going to the gym. This is the way to level up. At first, we use discipline for some core activities like eating protein or going to the gym. But soon, those activities become automated and turned into habits, requiring less discipline. However, most people stop here. To continue making progress, you need to figure out what's that next thing you can discipline yourself on that will still yield results. This concept is known as less to gain, more progress you have made. As you become more proficient in your craft, there are fewer areas for your improvement. The seemingly insignificant macro tasks are what will make the difference between being a winner or a loser 5 years from now. Use your discipline for a new micro task for each of your goals, and over time, that micro task will also become a habit. Here's your actionable step for this part of the guide. Figure out a specific micro task that requires discipline and would get you some progress towards one of your goals. Add it to your habit tracker. If you haven't made one yet, create a habit tracker and stick it up on the wall. Include the daily disciplines from before, like cleaning up your room, and add some goal specific ones. If you have goals, for work, it could be to read 3 pages of a book every day. For relationships, it could be to hug your mom first thing in the morning as soon as you see her. These tasks might seem easy, but the key is that they are things you don't consistently do right now because you don't feel like it. The next time you're about to do one of these tasks, you will genuinely not want to do it, and your brain might start making excuses. That is the sign that you are using discipline, and it's precisely when your brain tries to convince you against it. Embrace that feeling because now you are training against the weak part of your mind that wants you to stay mediocre and weak. This is how you get ahead in life. It's always these small micro pockets. This is how you end up having a relationship with your parents so much better than everyone else, or become successful and wealthy when everyone is individualistic and against family values. When you are the guy who simply disciplines yourself, it can make a significant difference. If you have already found value in this video and it's helping you, please consider doing me a little favor to support the YouTube algorithm stuff. I know it may sound cliche, but liking the video, spamming the comments, and sharing the link with some friends really does work. My goal with these guides that I spend a lot of time on is to have a lasting impact. Even years from now, if you keep mentioning it to the people, that would be the greatest gift that you could ever give me. If you casually recommend my full discipline guide to someone, it would generally bring the biggest smile on my face because it means that I've contributed something valuable to the humanity, and that is truly awesome. Step 3: Discipline in work and studies. One of the first things that the smartest people in the world do is that they take care of their families and repay their parents for the efforts and sacrifices they've made. It's a beautiful experience and it requires discipline to achieve. When you look at genuinely successful young people, the ones who became millionaires, there's one common trait that they share. They do the hard work even when they don't feel like it. On the other hand, young men who lack discipline face three major pain points. First, they live a life where they are not living up to their potential, leading to a sense of unfulfillment. Second, they experience the realities of being a poor performer, which means they may have low paying jobs, struggle in their businesses, or get poor grades. And perhaps, worst of all, the third. People in their lives may be let down by their lack of discipline, leading to added stress and disappointment for everyone involved. In front of you, there are essentially two paths: the path of discipline or the path of destruction. The cost of discipline may involve waking up a little earlier, making some sacrifices, and putting in the effort when it's challenging, but the rewards can be immense, including personal growth, success, and a sense of fulfillment. On the other hand, the cost of lacking discipline is much higher. It can lead to a life of mediocrity, unfulfilled potential, and strained relationship with those you care about. Taking the path of discipline may be difficult, but it's ultimately the path that leads to a more fulfilling and successful life. Okay, you have got to wake up a little bit earlier, you make some coffee, and you get to work even though it feels kind of hard. The cost of lacking discipline is your soul. I'm gonna hit you with some cold hard fucking truths. You are discreet in your manhood if you can't provide for others. You should feel like a fuck. You should lock yourself in the mirror and actually think, fuck me, I've wasted years of my life doing what? Video games, drinking, smoking, drugs. If it was different, if it was like you were really working hard but you didn't end up achieving success, that's different. But look into the fucking mirror and just be honest with yourself. Did you actually like the work to the level that you should have? Did you discipline yourself to the level that you should have? Or did you just keep coping and saying that 1 hour of video games was fine? Now your father's like 65-year-old and he's still like stretching along to the work. And no one will say this to you, by the way. No one will actually come to you and say, like, I wish you retired me. Your father probably not going to say that to you, but they are thinking that I can't believe I raised such a weak son who didn't even understand the concept of masculinity that you provide. Just like your father provided for you, and here you are on extra 1 hour on video games every day, eating carbs that fuck up your brain, and now you can't even work well. I don't mean to be insulting or aggressive towards you, but I wish that someone spoke to me like this because everyone spoke to me like a when I was growing up. It was so weird. It's like, trust me when I say people are thinking these thoughts, but I'm growing up playing video games, fucking around, wasting time, and only my father would just kind of tell me, these are bad habits and stuff. I wish someone told me that when I was younger. These days, like everyone just speaks in such a polite, like nice way, you need someone to hit you with some truths. I don't say this to be an asshole. I don't say this to hurt your feelings. If I wanted to hurt your feelings, I wouldn't be making like a guide like this where I've genuinely put my fucking heart and soul into this for the last like 2 weeks and like numbed my brain of thinking how can I help you to be more disciplined. But sometimes, especially for young men who are masculine, like you need a bit of criticism from someone else. You need another guy to look at you and just say like, bro, you are not living up to your potential. So what the fuck is the point in your life? Now you can start getting depressed and think that this is gonna trigger you and make you worse. Or you can think, you know what, it's shameful. It's absolutely shameful for me to be a leech on my family when I'm a young man. You should not be hearing this and start a self-destruct. Because there are quite a lot of sensitive young people who are hearing this and that they are just gonna start getting really stressed out and stuff. That's not going to help you. Don't just start getting emotional at this. Start getting logical. Start thinking to yourself, you know what? Emotions aren't going to help me. It's logic, power, strength, will, discipline. Well, what's going to help you is the fact that barely 1% of young men are interested in things like this. If you really just imagine yourself right now, if you view yourself in the third person, you are sitting here watching a guide on discipline. Now, if you imagine the people you grew up with, what are they doing right now? One of them is genuinely right now. You know it. The other person is literally like he's lying in the bed right now. The other one is watching some shitty programs on TV or something. The other one is just playing on this little Xbox with his little stubby fingers. The other one is working some shitty job that he hates, but he's spending all that money on some car that gives him a level of validation. That's your competition. Your competition is literally guys who don't even exercise. Your competition is guys who genuinely have never been heard of the concept of meditating. That's your competition, bro. It's not hard to beat 99% of guys. All you have got to do is about 10 push ups and 30 seconds of meditation today. Then to beat the 1% is ruthlessly hard because guys in 1% are actually doing bits. They are already meditating for the last year. They've all got six packs and they all understand all these concepts and frames and mindsets. Now it gets hard. But to be 99% of guys, to get to the equivalent of that might be, it's just like do some stuff consistently for like 2 months and ask for advice. Just maybe get someone who's more experienced than you to help you and give you some kind of direction. And just do it for about an hour a day for like 2-3 months. When you go down this path of discipline, what you will realize is you'll start to get this weird, peaceful, blissful experience which kinds of remind you and shows you the concept of your potential. You have always heard this in school and Instagram like quotes, live up to your potential. When you start to dedicate yourself to discipline and really don't bullshit yourself, you really become disciplined in all the areas that you didn't want to. You kind of want to, but you know you don't feel like it. You are not motivated and stuff, but you really start to do it. I didn't want to sit down for this video right now. I didn't want to. I've already done 3 hours of deep work today. My brain was kind of hurting, and for a break, like a vacation, I closed my eyes and did some deep breaths, and now I am here. Now I am recording for like a solid probably 2 hours while I am here, and it feels phenomenal because as I am doing this, there are no thoughts in my mind. I have challenged myself today, so I get a free flow state. This is the happiest a human can be, is when you are experiencing flow and there are no thoughts in my mind. I don't need to fake it. I'm not like some people who will pretend that they are happy with their work and they'll show you a fake smile. I don't need to show you a massive big smile. I am totally and utterly content and almost slightly enlightened in this exact second right now because of discipline. I've put the hard work in, so I'm in a flow. As I deserve the moment that I'm done recording this, I'm gonna feel phenomenal. I've accomplished more in this day than I used to genuinely over an entire month. Now I want to talk about some specific strategies that you can use to apply discipline in your work and your studies. Step 3.1. Wake up early. Now either choose to wake up early or to stay up late. But I think that you should have either one of these extremes. Like this pocket of time very early in the day or very late at night, where no one can contact you. And that's when you can work on something that is really, really important. This is building up to the most important productivity tactic that I could be telling you about. You must have a few hours of the day where no one will contact you, when no one's awake, but it's just you with some silent enthusiasm, working on something that's super hard, like the hardest task possible. 100% trust me that you could not do this in the middle of the day, and you need to wake up early, 4 am, 5 am, 6 am, or you stay up late, midnight, 1 am, something like that. You can choose which one it is. Some people are way more night owls and they do really good work there, and some people are way better in the morning time. What I will say is, I genuinely think that the morning time is better for pretty much everyone, because if you stay up late, you do automatically experience problems. There are more people who are still awake at 1 o'clock, even 2. You can't drink coffee or anything. If you see any bright lights or any lights from your computer past about 10 p.m., it really does start to mess up your mental health. Andrew Huberman talks about this a lot. If you look into the computer or phone past 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., it starts to produce depressive symptoms inside of you because it's totally unnatural to see light at that time. When you wake up early at 5 and you see light, it's absolutely fine. It's actually kind of healthy. So I heavily prefer morning time, but if for example I was someone who generally could not wake up early but I feel fantastic at 1, 2 or 3 am, I would still do that. I would be pushing that and literally be up at a time when everyone else is asleep. When you don't reply to any messages, so you can do the hardest task possible. I do my absolute best work as late as possible at night. So right now I go to the computer at maybe like 2 am and my deep work task is between 2 am and 4 am. It's mainly like writing scripts, improving myself, recording, editing, working on guides and reading books, etc. You can really get good work done and you are not coping and you don't get distracted and no one's messaging you. You should have one of these pockets. The next thing, and this is the actionable step, figure out what your eat the frog task is. What is the single greatest, hardest, highest leverage task for your work or your studies? For a YouTuber, for example, it's not changing the channel banner or commenting on videos. It's simply just recording the video and maybe scripting it. That's the hardest, highest leverage thing out there for a YouTuber. So this is what I do in that end pocket of the day. If you are a daytime person, then you do this right at the start. For example, let's say you are an author, you could be messaging people, writing emails or sending shoutouts. But the hardest task, the eat the frog task for an author is literally just writing words down on a page. That's the hardest task. So if you're an author, you'd wake up and do that as fast as possible, or you'd stay up late and you get the drift. The point is that there's a certain task for your work and for your studies that is super high leverage, but it's really hard. And that's the thing you should be doing in these pockets of time. If you are a student, for example, you might think that, like, oh yeah, mine is studying, for example, it needs to be way more specific. It just can't be studying because then it's like, you can cope because you won't have a plan. It's need to be a specific task, as specific as, for example, practicing the exam question. At 5 am, you wake up and practice the exam questions for 90 minutes. That's a good deep work task right there. A lot of students cope and they say their task is just going to be studying, but they end up sitting there distracted, not knowing what they are doing. They'll read a bit of the book, but it's boring and not even high leverage. It's very important to have a specific task that you'll focus on. I will tell you that I have been on self-improvement for the past 6 months, and I will tell you that this is a 10 out of 10 productivity tactic. This will be hard when you sit down to try and do one of these tasks. It's always like quite brutally hard. It's like you are trudging through deep snow. It's hard, there's always a bit of struggle. You don't really want to do it, but as you get about 20 or 30 minutes into one of these hard frog tasks, that's when you start to feel a lot of better. Like I am doing right now. When I was preparing before this, I was literally thinking, like, do I want to record this? I can't be bothered. What if I do after the gym? What if I do blah blah blah? All these thoughts. The first 10 minutes or so of recording this video, I was feeling a little bit, I don't know, like groggy, not really feeling it. Now it's fine. You have just got to fight the struggle that will inevitably rise with the task like this. It's hard, and this is really, I'm gonna be honest, this is where the success is built. You can imagine how hard this is. I'm telling you to either wake up early or to stay up late, which means that you have got to kind of dedicate your life around this. And then I'm telling you to work on the super hardest task possible, the highest leverage task. Everyone else is doing the exact opposite. Everyone else is spending their time doing pointless tasks that aren't so important. And they're pushing off the hard, really important tasks until later in the day when they are tired and it becomes less of a priority. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. Prioritize the big task and try to do it first thing in the day when no one can message you. Do all this with the vibe of enthusiasm and enjoyment because you are building your dream life. And this is the dream life. When you imagined your dream life and thought about the life you wanted to live, Oftentimes, we've been influenced and brainwashed by media, school, people we know, influencers, and even the red pill or based guys who have influenced us to think that we need material possessions like a Bugatti, a fancy apartment, or to be a high value man. But when you take all that bullshit aside and really think about your dream life, in some way you'd probably think about the fact that you'd be working hard on some kind of project that meant you a lot. Because if you think that the dream life is just retiring and having enough money, it's missing the essence of true fulfillment and purpose. I have to say, you're quite immature and not in an insulting way. It's just that you haven't experienced life. If once you make a fuck ton of money and you can pretty much retire, you don't. Because it's boring as fuck. You need some kind of purpose, fulfillment, right? We can have something that we can work hard on, that contributes to humanity, that also get us to the point that we can start to provide for our families. My Facebook, I don't know if my Facebook is linked in the description. You can follow me if you want. I don't even post on it, but it's very true. The dream is just working on something that actually means a lot to you. If you disagree right now, you might be working on the wrong thing. You might be, for example, either being forced or you are maybe forcing yourself to work on something that you don't actually care about. You are only doing it for external validation, the results. This is why it's very important to slow down for a second and your response to everything. I've been saying here, if it seems kind of depressive, like, oh man, I've got to work hard on this task, it's going to be shit and stuff, but maybe I'll eventually make money. It's probably the wrong thing for you. Because the right task is going to be kind of one where it's still super difficult, but you are actually thinking, man, a life of me waking up early and working on that would actually be a pretty good life. It would be hard, and of course, I want other parts of my life too, but I would actually enjoy that. That would be good for me. That would be good for the world. Oftentimes, many young men choose to pursue work or studies they are not intrinsically motivated or internally pulled towards. Instead, they might simply follow the advice of their latest red pill influencer. If you are relating to this right now, I highly suggest closing off everything for a little while and asking a few minutes to sit silently. Ask yourself what you really want. Question it, and maybe journal your thoughts. Reflect on where these desires have formed in your mind and why you want certain things. Why do I want to be rich? And it just sounds like a stupid question, but ask it. You won't want to write it down. I guarantee you will be too much of to admit this, but you'll say that you want to be rich just because Andrew Tate talked about being rich rather than a genuine inner calling. It's essential to honestly examine your motivation and not shy away from the truth. The concept of being rich might not have even formed in your brain if it weren't for external influences. It's crucial to distinguish your true purpose from the influence of others. Now, none of these guys online know about purpose. Purpose isn't about becoming the successful high leverage man who wears a fucking shirt, pretends he's Andrew Tate, does the fucking sign, and then smokes a cigar. That's not purpose. True purpose involves detaching from everything and being in solitude to explore the reason for why you fucking exist, and it will probably not be related to anything that you see these male role models showing you this life of materialistic degenerate, showing you that, oh, here I am in Dubai and I'm spending a lot of money in parties and clubs and the more you watch that kind of content or content in general, the more that your brain and your heart will be polluted with weird new desires that weren't ever your own. You must spend some time away from everything and detach and just slow down, and you'll start to figure out what you really want. But you are a bitch. So what you really want isn't as cool as what Andrew Tate wants, and you'll prioritize his desires in your own heart and mind instead of your own. When you hear about this concept of purpose, it's all about finding out what is internally right for you. So many young men have given up their purpose to just follow the desires of the latest celebrity. It's a very shameful way to live. Perhaps I should have said this before. You should wake up early, and before we try to figure out this frog task, we have to make sure that you are on the right track to begin with. This will come from making sure that there are no external desires, no influence from the other people, these creators, this validation seeking that you get from Instagram. It's awesome, for example, to go build your body. It's awesome to go to the gym and train hard. But if you are training hard to get the Instagram likes, it's probably not a good thing. If you are training hard to get more likes on Tinder, it's probably not a good thing. If you detach away from all of that and you pretend like none of that exists and you are just here empty in this room for a few minutes, you will start to really question things. And you will be so scared of doing that because you were on a path to gain validation from other people as you know you started to fulfill someone else's desires. The truth is, their validation is fucking useless and it's not valuable for you. As an extra actionable step for this video, spend maybe 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe a couple of days. Zero technology, zero words spoken from your mouth to anyone else. Take a pen, a piece of paper, sit there, look at your wall, talk out loud, and ask yourself questions like, why do I desire this? Where did this come from? Andrew Tate made a good reason, but where did it really come from? Oh, it came from a tape podcast. It came from the Red Pill podcast. Yup, I was watching another of those useless podcasts with angry men shouting for women at being and then the same man talk to those women afterward and try to fuck them. That's where my desires come from and that's where I'm dedicating my life to. When you say it out like that, you feel a fucking idiot, don't you? Instead, your desire should form from the inside and they should be related to your soul's purpose here on earth. This is how you get into spirituality. I'm very new to this myself, but I think this is the only way to live. Otherwise, you're just wasting your life. We know that achieving these external things doesn't lead to happiness or fulfillment. We know this, right? You don't even need me to question this. We know for a fact that when you get the house or the car, it's boring. It doesn't add anything to your life. And imagine sacrificing a year of your life for that little smile as you drive in this car and that you have wasted like a year of your life. You haven't hugged one of your family members for a while. Instead, very importantly, detach and figure out your real purpose. Figure out your real desires. I know that is going off topic here. I probably should have mentioned that there is no point in life if you have someone else's trajectory. There's a few quotes I really like. Days are made of mornings and lives are made of days. Win the morning, win the life. I really think that's the case. If you start your day with an awesome morning routine, hard work and specific tasks that mean a lot to you, which are super hard to do, and you do them just to the best that you can without expecting them to be perfect. Struggling with them, losing your attention but sticking to them. Doing them anyway. Waking up early every single day. You are starting each day perfectly. That usually translates into a way better day than if you sleep in late or anything. Your whole life is just made of these days. So it sounds weird, but the way to live a good life is just to have a good morning routine. There's a lot of power in that. An actionable step for you right now is to add on your habit tracker something like either wake up early or eat the frog. And this way you are going to hold yourself accountable. If you stick this up on your wall, it's very obvious you can't escape it. This is the route to self-mastery. It's allocating time to the hardest task you could possibly be doing. And usually that means waking up early, which is such blissful experience. Step 3.2. Excellence in all areas. If you are okay with dust piling up on your desk, then you will be okay with tasks piling up in your to-do list. If you are okay with leaving things out of place, then you will probably be okay with sending an email with a spelling mistake. If you are okay with leaving the gym before you have actually finished your workout, you will be okay with cutting corners in your studies or your work. And the results that you get in your life will show. But more than that, you will know that you are a messy room kind of entrepreneur. Excellence not just in the work that you produced or the videos that you make, but excellence in, for example, the form that you have in your workouts in the gym, excellence in your diets, excellence in the way you hold the eye contact when you're speaking to your loved ones. It's without a doubt that the students who are well hydrated, have good diets and go to sleep on time will get better grades than the student who stay up late on TikTok and refuse to drink water because they don't like the taste of it. That's obvious, it's common sense, and yet people miss this out. This is undeniable. We know this because these are the people who have their life in order, trying to get better grades when you are dehydrated, or trying to make more money from your business when you don't even make your bed every morning, or trying to make gains in the gym when you refuse to improve your diet and keep eating sugar. It's basic, but a lot of people miss the basics, and you might be one of them. For example, if you are a guy who's always well hydrated, There's probably another area of your life that you are not even hitting the basics. Maybe your form in the gym is shit. If you are just being honest, it could be. Have you ever had a personal training session to have someone else, like a professional, evaluate your form? Have you ever trained with someone who's got 10 years of experience? Have you ever sat down and watched 50 different videos on how to bench press correctly? How to improve your squat form and everything? All this pursuit of becoming excellent comes down to just your mindset of setting higher standards that you have done previously. So again, this is something that you can do. You can look around your room and just think, okay, what could I slightly increase the standard of? For a lot of people, it's cleanliness. And you can increase the standards there. Maybe you can increase the standards slightly of the clothes you wear or the way you groom yourself. A lot of young guys, including myself, kind of let ourselves go with a little bit of laziness. So booking a haircut once a week or 2 weeks, and with this new mindset, okay, I'm gonna have higher standards for my appearance. That will translate to higher standards in your work step. 3.3. Perfectionism is simply a lack of discipline. I have spoken to a lot of people who suffer from perfectionism. They want everything to be just right and are willing to wait for months or years to do something that should take only a couple of days. I also talk to many guys who aspire to become YouTubers, inspired by seeing their favorite YouTubers grow. They often ask me a bunch of questions, jumping from one idea to another, like should it be this video or this one? How about this idea or that one? The most common answer I get when I ask how many videos they have posted is 0. Here we have young men overthinking things to such a crazy level, pondering the perfect approach and format, and yet they've made 0 videos. It's like a fat guy saying, no, I won't go to the gym until I have the perfect workout routine. How do you think you'll find the perfect workout routine if you never started going to the gym? It's the same with these guys who won't make their YouTube videos or release their work because they feel it's not good enough or not perfect. When I meet a perfectionist, I often relate them to a fat man. They are essentially the same, both lacking discipline. The fat guy who won't go to the gym because he doesn't have the perfect workout routine is no different from the skinny nerd who won't make a YouTube video because it's not good enough or perfect. It all comes down to a lack of discipline, arrogance, and narcissism. There's a fine line here. We want you to have high standards, but not to the point of being impractical or paralyzing yourself with overthinking. Perfectionism can be a hindrance. The key is to start taking action and learning from the process, rather than waiting for perfection. For example, your first video that you post onto YouTube is probably gonna be trash. Now if you are some professional guy, you're 30 years old and you can invest in a really high quality team and you are already a great speaker, then it's going to be different. But if, for example, you are a young guy and don't have much experience, you are not really that great at speaking or anything, you don't have like fantastic team or even a camera, you are just using your phone, your first video is gonna be kind of trash. And that's okay. But then having high standards would mean, okay, well the next video I make, I'm gonna try to do one thing that's slightly better. Having high standards could mean, I'm going to make sure that in my videos I don't waste that much time. Because you know a lot of new YouTubers, they'll press the record and they'll waste 20 seconds, 30 seconds just getting to it. This is the way to increase standards but whilst destroying perfectionism. Just know that there will always be more things that you can add into something. Always. There will always be more that you can add in. That isn't the skill. This is where perfectionists get stuck. They're always just trying to add more into something, thinking they can make it better. So how exactly do you use discipline to overcome perfectionism? You find a perfectionist buddy, kind of like an accountability partner, but another person who also has these feelings of perfectionism, and you join together. Generally, we have perfectionism in ourselves, but we kind of rationally see it for someone else because perfectionists can't see it in themselves. They think that it's still not good enough. They think that it's not ready to be released. But if a perfectionist meet another perfectionist, they kind of help each other in a weird way where they both relate to the feeling that they have and they are able to convince each other. So your actionable step is to go down to the comments right now and go search for your own perfectionist procrastination buddy. And if you really want to take action, then write your own comments. And then people can reply to you. Maybe you can put your Discord username so people can add you. You can say something like, I'm looking for a perfectionist buddy. This is the thing that I've got perfectionist tendencies on. Oh, I procrastinate on this task because I keep expecting it to be perfect. If anyone's similar, here's my Discord or my email or something. Step 4. Discipline in health and fitness. This is the most common place where young men can use discipline to improve their lives. Going to the gym and eating right. Eating clean when you don't feel like it. Going to the gym and hitting workouts is usually most young men's first taste of discipline. It's their first taste of feeling quite masculine and doing something even though they don't feel like it. Doing it even though it's hard, especially because it's hard. There are 4 major benefits to being disciplined when it comes to fitness. Number 1, it's the concept of hard times create strong men. You've probably heard of the cycle before. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weaker men create hard times. Wherever we are in the cycle right now, and I think we know where we are. The hard times are pretty much here for a lot of countries, and it will get worse and worse. We might be talking potentially decades of the dark ages. On the other hand, there might actually be the biggest resurrection of good times as fast as possible that we have ever seen in history because of technology, because of AI. Who knows where it's going to go? Right now, it does seem to be the case that we are entering the hard times. Which means that if you are a strong man, you will be able to ride this wave and that we are going through. But weak men won't. Weak men are succumbing every single day to more of these addiction, whereas some men are getting stronger even though the times are getting harder. It's hard right now, for example, it's hard for an average man to be able to feed his family because of the cost of living crisis, and he's not making much money. The weak man will just struggle with that, keep complaining and ask for handouts. The strong man will figure out extra ways to make money and become more capable. It's about how you use the situation around you. And going to the gym, interestingly, will help you with this. It will develop you into a strong man because you are pushing yourself through hard times. Now I've got to make a disclaimer. A lot of guys will not get benefit because for many people, including fitness influencers and everything, they are too relaxed, too easygoing. You see their workout routine, their diet, and you notice they might be consuming excessive sugar, eating protein pancakes with chocolate spread and so on. Is this the level of discipline we got? Bro, like I said before, 100%, if you want to go out for a nice treat every now and then, 100% go for it. I love to do that as well, so I'm not advocating for a 100% perfect diet. This is the pinnacle of health these days. This is what fitness influencers are doing. 20 years ago, it was more about weighing out the portions. Rice, broccoli, chicken, and maybe it was a little bit too extreme. Now some are doing 10,000 calories challenge just because some people enjoy watching such content. It should still feel hard today. If you really want to level up, if you really want to get stronger, it should be relatively hard. I'm speaking directly to the guys who have been training for years now. Remember when you first started in the gym and how challenging it was? Recall how sore your muscle got after the first arm workout, how you couldn't even straighten your arm, and how you felt the same way about your hamstrings and everything, right? That was a hard workout that built you strong. These days, after a full workout, we can do another one because even though our workouts are harder than before, our capabilities have risen. So we are no longer even at the level where we are challenging ourselves and becoming stronger. The same goes for dieting. Remember the first time you started dieting and made some progress? How hard it felt. How much you used to think about eating fewer calories and eating cleaner. And it's almost felt like a full-time job. These days, it might feel much easier because you are used to it. However, that means you are only maintaining the current benefits and you are not growing anymore. you are not growing stronger right now. Maybe you don't need to. Perhaps you are already a super strong man. Remember, growth and improvement come from pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. If something becomes too easy, it might be the time to raise the bar and challenge ourselves further to keep progressing. Chances are you're probably not, so your diet and your training should feel hard today. I know that I'm doing this right when I'm in the gym and I really want to go home, but I have to really fight to stay there. It feels hard, but all in all, it doesn't it's not 10 out of 10 difficult. It's kind of like fun going to the gym. But these days, recently, just very recently, only for a few days, I've literally been in the gym and been exhausted and tired, and it really reminds me when I first went to the gym and you couldn't wait to almost leave. It was fun, but it was super tiring. Now it feels kind of like how it was when I was a beginner and I can see the progress that I am making. It's like I keep feeling this weird blissful feeling, which is I can genuinely understand the concept of the potential of self-mastery. Because most people's fitness journey to be disciplined looks like a good start and they make loads of progress being really disciplined. But then out of nowhere, it just starts to level off and they just stay comfortable. Even the guys who constantly go to the gym, if you have been going to the gym for a few years, I guarantee you have been pushing out. I guarantee that even though you have been going consistently, the gym feels kind of hard. I guarantee that you are not progressively overloading, not just set by set, but also in your workouts month by month, restricting your diet more, getting a bit more extreme in your training. And people can say, well, restrictive diets don't work and stuff. Yeah, of course they don't. For shallow breathers, of course they don't. But for superior men who want to become strong, this is the trajectory. It's every single month, you slightly increase the level of discipline that you need for your activities. Most guys stopped 1 year into going to the gym and they just kind of maintain that level. You're not making as many gains recently and we all blame it on. It's noob gains. You make a lot of muscle when you first start and don't make much after that. Maybe you have just been slacking off. Maybe you are not pushing in the same level of discipline relative to when you first started. I started my fitness journey back in, maybe 2016 or 17. I was doing this simple home exercises 10-20 push-ups a day or just jumping around my house, doing squats in my room. Then sometime later, I joined a Kung Fu club for a year. I know that I wasn't consistent and I jumped from home exercises to Kung Fu and to the next too fast. But that was a good decision. And currently, I've been going to the gym for maybe 2 or 3 months. I remember when I first started, I found it incredibly difficult to train. And now it's way easier because my skill level had gone up. So you simply, progressively overload. Then some people say, it's stupid, Afan was just saying it lightly, I don't want to do it. That's exactly how we felt when we started our fitness journeys. You wake up the next day and your legs are sore. And you've got that heavy feeling in your tendons and your calves. That's exactly how it felt when we first started training. Now you are being as disciplined as you were back then, relatively, and you've become stronger. The second benefit of being disciplined in fitness is physical and mental health. That's going to translate over to better work, relationships, happiness, and love. And the third benefit of being disciplined in fitness, of course, is getting into shape. Tristan Tate was on a podcast that I watched a little while ago and he was asked what's the number one tip to look better in a suit. And he ended up saying it was just getting into shape. It wasn't actually about the suit or the tailor or the style. If you are in shape, you look good in clothes or without clothes. Finally, the fourth benefit of being disciplined in fitness is that eventually it becomes fun. If you keep going and you have this playful mindset, almost like you are playing a game, you are trying to beat your high score and you are trying to get the high score for the bench press or how fast you can burn 100 calories, that will soon turn into you generally just enjoying each and every gym session. It becomes such a beautiful, enjoyable and important part of your life. A lot of guys who have been going to the gym for a while will know this. It really integrates into your personality and you start to love being an athlete. It adds to your self-image that you are this healthy person who is able to delay gratification, think for the future and enjoy the hard work, exercise, sweat, discomfort, pain and sacrifice right now. I think that's beautiful. It's add a lot of flavor to your life. 4.1 Destroying Depression with Discipline. There's a lot of people these days who feel quite depressed. And whether there is such concept of clinical depression or not, I actually don't know, which I know sounds stupid. But I think that the majority of people who have depression, I don't know, it's this weird mystical chemical imbalance that they might need medication for. Now remember being a child and how playful, innocent and beautiful the world used to be. I'm not talking about being a teenager, but I'm talking about actually being like a pure child. Remember when we used to climb the trees and jump over puddles? When you used to literally just lie down in the grass and just kind of look at the individual blades of grass and see tiny insects and play with them, maybe you'd kill them. We don't do that as adults anymore. We are so focused on our phones, our computers, on desire that have been put into us by influencers and media. We are constantly thinking about but not in a loving way, obsessed with. So we live this shallow life, this dirty, shameful life as adults, and we wonder why we don't feel like happy. So a lot of people believe that depression is something that they can't change.
I'm depressed, I need medication.
I think the issue from my understanding with medication is that it's not going to cure the problem. There's a reason why you are depressed. The medication just kind of masks the symptoms and make you feel a little better, like a bit more mellow today. You know, antidepressants take off the sort of extreme highs and the extreme lows, so you're in this weird grey androgynous zone, and I'm not sure if that's the best way to go about this. I think perhaps a better way, which is going to require me to sound like a asshole, is to ask you why you deserve to be depressed. If you really want this full guide to help you, and if you genuinely want to make some progress here, it might be worth for you to not think of me as a bad person when I say that. And for you to ask the question to yourself. Maybe write this down as a note or something and answer this. What am I doing to deserve to feel depressed? It sounds like a horrible question, and I can imagine so many people might think that I'm weird or I'm a bad person for asking you this. I personally believe that you have tried, you have listened to the entire world. Just listen for me like 2 minutes and let me just explain my mindset. You can just try what I'm saying, right? I personally believe that we deserve most of what happens to us. Pretty much everything, apart from extreme freak accidents and everything like that. So I believe it's more empowering to think that our emotions are simply caused by our actions. Honestly, when I started to think like this, I've had more control over how I feel in life. If you ask yourself right now and just be totally honest, and really write this down as an actionable step. Write some notes on this. What I am doing to deserve to feel depressed? Just write bullet points, some ideas, and your lizard brain might pipe up and say,
"Oh, nothing. It's just what my doctor told me. It's genetic and stuff."
But just ask yourself. You don't need more education or anything. Just ask yourself, what are some of the actions that I'm doing that probably lead to this? And you could probably write 100.
I wake up late. I'm sleep deprived. I don't drink enough water. I wake up and the first thing I do is grab my phone, even though I shouldn't. I watched an Andrew Huberman podcast where he said that you should get sunlight in the morning and I don't do it. I wear the same clothes and they're dirty and they stink, but I just throw them on the floor. Then I put them back up and I put them on. I have no respect for myself. I haven't groomed in a while. I haven't played anything other than simulation and destructive habits. I've been addicted to these habits for a very long time and I've been unable to quit. I eat a very poor diet that my parents probably conditioned me to eat.
You could write a massive list of reasons or actions that you are doing which are contributing to you not feeling good. Now please try this on the other side of the page. Write that activities and tasks you used to do as a child when you felt really happy. The things that we would do before mobile phones were very enjoyable. We would go to parks and literally just jump over stuff. We would climb trees and I could only get to the second branch. I'd purposely jump into a muddy puddle and get it all over my shoes. And my mom would be angry at me, but it was really fun. We would go on adventures which were literally just a mile away from our house. Innocence, like pure childish joy and play. What makes you happy? What makes you not feel depressed? I'm not sure if it changes that much. I think that the things we did as children that really brought us into a flow state, that made us super happy, are specifically exactly the same activities right now. I have an actionable step, just something peaceful for you to try. Take one activity that you remember that you used to do as a child that used to be kind of fun and maybe exhilarating, and start doing it today. Climbing trees, jumping into puddles. When was the last time you climbed a tree? You can't feel depressed when you are a pioneer. You literally just can't. You can't feel depressed when you are on a tree. When you go for a run or walk and it's been raining and there's puddle on the floor, you can't feel depressed as you try and jump over the puddle and you kind of laugh at yourself because you didn't make it and got it all over your shoes. You can't feel depressed when you are doing that. That's only a few seconds, and after that,
the demons will come back.
okay, sure. But if your day in your life and your month started to be filled up with these little micro childish habits as they used to be as a kid, we used to see everything like a game, used to see everything like a challenge. That's what we need to be like, even as adults. It's only, I won't say Western, but it's only in these somewhat modern countries where people think that to be an adult means to be like this stuck up person who maybe doesn't smile so much unless it's socially appropriate, who acts like everyone else, who doesn't act like a child, and so we wonder why we feel so bad. If you go to some other countries, not so much countries, but especially tribes which have been quite untouched by modern civilization, you'll see the adults literally dancing for like an hour or two every single day. They'll do things which are fun for the sake of doing things just for fun. You can almost picture, right? Now, let's say if I did a vlog with some Brazilian or African tribe, you can imagine the kind of ones I'm talking about, where they've all got feathered headdresses. They spend an hour picking feathers from chicken and whatever, dyeing them just because they're like, oh yeah, there's that yellow feather and that's fun for them. Then they are doing that, they are dancing and they're having a good time. And here we are thinking that,
Alright, I shouldn't dance. Yeah, that's awkward. I feel embarrassed by that. Back to work or back to my video games.
So I invite you now as an actionable step to use discipline because it will require discipline. You will have a lot of limiting beliefs about this, thinking,
Nope, this isn't going to work. Nope, this is going to be cringe. Someone might see me. Going to be awkward, going to be uncomfortable. I'll go back to my video games. Afan doesn't know what he's talking about. Depression can't be cured.
Maybe you could be thinking like that. But remember that I'm on your side. And if your brain is really arguing against it and saying,
Oh no, we can't get any better.
Is that really your own brain? Or is that like fucking evil demonic conditioning that's inside of you? Because your own brain should argue and fight for you, shouldn't it? So what if you can just manually input the thought into your brain right now? It's worth a try. I remember being a kid and climbing and doing silly stuff, and it was always fun. Yeah, I could go try it, and maybe you are literally starting to think logistically of where you could go around your area.
Okay, where is there a puddle or a tree to climb up?
The easiest way to start in a way that doesn't feel awkward at all can be running, or just like me, go and climb a mountain. So what I mean by this is, this really transformed my mental health, and I really hope that you could take this. If you allowed this fantasization to build up, this feeling of wanting to explore and adventure and just go out, maybe on a run for the purpose of literally just exploring your local area, not focusing 100% on the run, but getting somewhere and looking around, smiling and seeing.
Okay, I've never seen that person before, never seen that house before. Oh wow, I didn't realize that they had a big oak tree here.
That is what we used to do as children. So, I want to ask you, when was the last time your shoes got muddy on purpose? When was the last time you genuinely on purpose jumped into a puddle just to get wet and dirty? And if you think that this is lame, the thing is, big, macho, successful, these masculine men that you see online, they are doing it. Andrew Tate playing with his daughter and he's probably goofing around with her. Chuckleworthy, Bear Grylls, David Goggins. These all are guys who have got long-term partners who are playing with their kids every day and probably fooling around with them and laughing and playing hide and seek with them. Guys who have triple R levels of testosterone, guys who have literally been in the military and successful business and kickboxers, and how they are actually playing more than we are because we sat here trying to be too masculine for our own good, thinking,
yeah, oh yeah, no business.
Step 4.2. Starting the gym. You can skip this section if you have already been consistently going to the gym. This is specifically for people who haven't signed up for the gym yet or maybe have a membership but aren't going consistently and are trying to figure out how to start. I know it seems like a simple topic of just joining the gym, but I kind of needed a guide like this when I first started. Very quickly, The way to join a gym is that you go onto Google Maps or go onto Google and search for gyms in your area or city. Then you'll see a map with all the gyms marked and you just want to pick the one that's closest to you. Check its opening timings and you can usually just turn up and buy a membership right there. To actually get started in the gym, a lot of people have that perfectionist mindset.
Like, I don't know what workout to do. Yeah, maybe I'll start in 2 weeks.
There are many things that just stop you from starting right away. The mindset I want to give to anyone who's in this position is that you'll never be 100% ready to start the gym. There will always be another thought like,
wait, I need to wait for the right workout clothes. Wait, I need to wait out for this other thing. I've got this tray, then I'll do it.
You may not know the workout routine or if it's going to be safe, and there will always be these thoughts. Whether you start today or 10 years from now, you are not going to feel 100% clear about going to the gym. You'll only feel that after you have already been up to 10 to 20 workout. So what I mean by this is that you specifically need to start going to the gym even though your brain isn't 100% convinced that now is the time. This is powerful because now no matter what bullshit your little lizard brain, which is probably more of an enemy than a friend, is telling you. So I highly recommend that you get into the concept of I'm not going to be 100% certain, so whatever bullshit extra excuses my mind is telling me, especially the ones that I'm thinking right here right now, you understand what I'm saying. When your brain pops up with seemingly logical reasons why you shouldn't join the gym or go for the first workout right now, it's not logical. It's just that your brain has been conditioned to be like a little bitch. So ignore everything that your brain says. Let's sign up for the closest gym and literally just walk into the gym, and you might wonder, okay, what exactly should I do for the first real workout? I'll literally make you the workout routine and I'll link it below so you can just click on the link, don't overthink it, and you're gonna say,
oh, either.
I've linked all that stuff so you can go get it for free. I've added it all just to try and help you here so that it feels less mentally demanding to start in the gym. I want to be like the big brother for you and just say, bro, just shut up, here's the routine, just please follow it, and then a month from now, 2 months from now, you can change it however you like. At least this will just get you into the gym. Once you have been in the gym and you have seen it 20 times, 50 times, you'll know where everything is. If you have got someone to train with who can teach you, that's fine. If you have got a big brother who knows the forms and the technique, that's fine. But if you don't have anyone and you can afford personal training session, that's great. It's super worth it at the start to invest in a gym because it will change the trajectory of your fitness journey forever. If you can't afford personal training session, just keep going onto YouTube and searching for technique videos for whatever exercise you want to get into. You can educate yourself on YouTube for free. Step 4.3. Keep skipping workouts. If you find yourself consistently skipping your workouts, coping and making a lot of excuses like,
I'll do it at 7 pm.
But when the 7 pm comes around, you don't go anymore, saying,
I'll do it tomorrow.
And you set the plan to go maybe 3 days a week or 4 or 5 days a week. And you are not just messing it all up by going on different days, you are very inconsistent. You just miss days entirely because you are too sore and you have all these reasons not to be as consistent as you are supposed to be in the gym. I know exactly what to do because I have been through this. I've been going to the gym consistently. It's incredible to talk about this. Yes, so this is exactly what worked for me when I was younger, way less disciplined and more like a beginner with shallow breaths, where I was missing so many workouts, coping, eating junk food and just calling it a cheat day. I was all over the place, but I was able to get discipline in the gym by following two things. First, I made it easier to be disciplined and consistently go to the gym. Instead of just relying on discipline, it's awesome if we can use some productivity tactics like routines and schedules so that it's just kind of easier and more motivating to go to the gym. So what this means is set a schedule to go to the gym for the exact same times so that it's a routine. If you are trying to go to the gym somewhat randomly, thinking,
okay, when will I have time? Oh man, I forgot to go to the gym for the last 3 days or something.
That's going to be super hard to get consistent. But if you just spend literally 2 minutes right now, you can pause this video, just spend 2 minutes thinking, okay, what would be a great time for me to go to the gym? In general, for a lot of people, it will be in the morning, maybe before work or school, or maybe a little bit afterward. You need to find a time that you can imagine will work not only right now but might work for the rest of your life. For example, for me, I can go to the gym from around 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and that's the time I usually go. Somewhere around that times works for me. I'm energized and enjoy training at that time. It would be worth it for you right now to figure out the exact time that you would go. Also, you can use what's called habit stacking, which is something from James Clear's book Atomic Habits. The idea is to put the gym on top of a habit that has already been formed. For example, every day you wake up, do your morning routine, and do something like studying before going to the gym. Every single day, follow this routine so that it becomes super consistent. You can adjust your workout routine to make it more manageable. Personally, I think working out every single day is way better and taking days off starts getting too complicated for your routine. It's better to go to the gym every day. So I would say if you can try and stack it with another habit, you'll get way more consistent. The most consistent I've ever been in the gym or just working out in general is when I've just done it. Once you have utilized a few of those principles to try and build a routine, not just a gym routine like push pull legs, but a specific calendar routine going every single day at the same time. Once you have utilized some of those, there's one disciplined mindset that I want to teach you. It's all about taking one step at a time instead of looking at the entire battle. What I mean by this is when we don't feel like going to the gym, it's often because we are thinking how big, scary, painful, and uncomfortable the entire situation is. For example, right here, right now, I'm kind of cozy. If I think about the hour of cardio that I'm gonna go and do, I might start to not want to go to the gym because it feels hard and exhausting. It might end up coping and say to myself,
Yeah, I'll go today, but I'll go after. I'll have the coffee first, I'll do that, I'll do that other thing, and I'll go at 2 p.m. instead of my usual time.
I start pushing it off because it feels like this big scary thing when actually we don't need to go and do the 500 calories of cardio. That's not what the task is. The task is to get changed in gym clothes. The next task is to get your water bottle and your earphones. You can do that, right? No matter how tired you are, you could go and literally just grab your earphones and put them in, right? The next task is to put on music. You can do that no matter how tired you are. You could put the music, right? The next task is go downstairs and put your shoes on. Again, no matter how tired you are, you could do that. Then it's to leaving your door. Then it's to walk to the gym. So the issue is that we are seeing the gym as this big beast, this huge workout that's long and uncomfortable, especially when we are in a state of comfort. Go for the steps instead of seeing the specific task that's need to be conquered. Because when we are here in our nice, quiet, cozy environments and we think about the last set of squats, our brain says,
No, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that transformation.
but it doesn't need to because we just need to do the next step. It's one step at a time. So the idea is that the next time you're supposed to go to the gym but you start coping, remind yourself of this one step at a time mindset. Remind yourself that right now your brain is conceiving you that you couldn't make this massive leap to the gym. But it's not about the massive leap, but it's just about the individual step. Ask yourself, could I put my earphones on right now? You'll be like, well, yeah, of course. Could I put my music on right now? Yeah, of course, I'll put it on. Take it one step at a time, and before you know it, you are outside the gym. Before you know it, you are inside the gym. Before you know it, you are warming up. And by the time you have warmed up and done one set of squats, it's like, okay, well, come on, let's get it. You are warm, you are sweaty, and you are actually inviting the next set of squats. Now you are awesome. Step 4.4, a disciplined diet. You see a lot of these weak modern fitness influencers, and it's a shame that they are seen as the pinnacle of health and fitness. These guys are eating 200 grams of sugar a day and making anabolic cookbooks with pancakes. It's childish to indulge in sweet treats and go by saying
It's part of their diet.
while it's possible to build muscles while eating junk food, there's more to life than just gaining muscle. Consider your overall health, both physical and mental, which can suffer from overloading on sugar and chemicals found in unhealthy foods these influencers promote. For me, the moment I was able to improve my diet was when I started educating myself on nutrition. I realized that I had never received proper lessons on diet or nutrition through the education system. I actually knew very little about it. That's when I discovered a lecture on YouTube that helped me immensely. Online, it seems like there's only one voice among these fitness influencers promoting a mediocre lifestyle. They discipline themselves to around 50% to 60% of their potential intensity. They eat some clean calories but also indulge in chocolate and other treats every day. In my experience, that might work for some, but from what I believe is the truth, based on every successful person I know, it doesn't mean like successful people have daily balance or follow the 50% intensity approach. Those who have the best physiques or are successful in business seem to adopt the work hard, play hard mentality. They go through the periods of intense workout where they strictly adhere to the diets and focus on their goals. And then they have periods of intense relaxation or indulgence where they may enjoy more carefree moments with friends. The recommended approach based on what I've seen online is to aim for an almost perfect and sustainable diet every day, with around 80% of our calories coming from healthy foods and 20% from indulgence of treats. However, it's essential to find a balance that works for you and aligns with your goals and values. Remember, health and fitness are not just about physical appearance but also about overall well being and longevity. I don't recommend that because it means you are not living up to your potential while in work mode. If you are consuming 20% of junk calories per day, I promise you, someone who is competing you will outperform you. If there's someone else who wants to take what you've got, or someone else with the business as you on a carnivore diet, they will surpass you. So if you are in work mode, I think you should optimize everything for work. Many of us young guys being in work mode is essential as it is an awesome time for us to develop. The better way is to go through periods of work mode, be as disciplined as possible with our diets, and then take a few days off or go on a trip after 2 or 3 weeks. This will give you a heightened experience. So if you want to follow this, I suggest getting on a fairly strict diet, but strict. I don't mean super low calories, which is unhealthy. What I mean is cutting out sugar and carbs. Ideally, you'll be eating things like egg, steak, meats, butter, and nuts. It may be quite boring, but it still tastes good. Your brain may feel like something's missing since we had carbs with every meal for like 20 years, but it's worth it, and your brain will adjust. Here's an actionable step for you. In this part of the guide, write down a plan for your workout and diet. Be super clear about what you'll eat every day and what time you'll train. My advice is to train every single day at the same time but with slightly less volume than you would on 3 or 5 days a week. This way it's much more consistent. My favorite way of doing this is using habit trackers. Step 5. Discipline and self-improvement habits. I've noticed a rise of YouTubers and influencers who mock self-improvement habits like morning routines, considering them cringe or weird. There's an online culture of people dismissing these practices, claiming they don't work. On the other hand, more qualified individuals such as Andrew Huberman assert that cold shower increases dopamine and meditation enhances focus. I found myself influenced by those who disrespected self-improvement habits and labeled CEO morning routine as cringe. This concept revolves around progressing 1% every single day, which you have probably heard before. Interestingly, this idea stems from the Japanese philosophy called Kaizen. Kaizen represents a student mindset that prioritizes continuous improvement, wanting to be slightly better and learn something new each day for the rest of our lives. Self improvement draws from this philosophy and has been condensed into various habits and practices. One significant outcome of progress is happiness. When you consistently progress in your personal development, you experience happiness and positive emotions daily. On the other hand, when you stop progressing, life may feel dull and dark. Sacrificing wholesome habits like reading, meditating, journaling to focus solely on making money doesn't lead to genuine happiness. The pursuit of wealth doesn't grant as much power as one might think. Instead, the power comes from the exact opposite, which is needing less power. Happiness, joy, fulfillment, and success. It doesn't come from achieving your desires. It comes from destroying the desire in the first place. We have probably seen this concept of old guys who have worked out their entire lives and then at some point when they are 60 years old, they retire and their life actually gets worse afterward because we need to keep working on something. The studies and things that I've read and looked online, which I'll summarize for you, indicate no matter what our age is, we still have the ability to use what's called neuroplasticity, which means kind of that we can update our brain with new beliefs and learning and wisdom. Everyone kind of understands this now, but only a few years ago, people genuinely thought that your brain stops developing past the age of 25, which is completely idiotic. Your brain develops, and in fact, your brain needs to develop every single year for your life. Otherwise, you'll start having a shit existence. Those old people that you know, probably our parents, our great grandparents, destroying their lives. Why? Because they don't read, because they don't learn, because they're just set in their ways. Now their health is getting worse, now their brain is getting destroyed. Soon enough, they'll got Alzheimer's and they won't even remember your name. That's what happens when you don't keep learning and progressing. When you don't use your brain, it's just start to deteriorate, so we need to already have this mindset. We don't want to turn out like these old people that we see who, like for example, it's kind of cute but also not. They like literally don't know how to use the phone and stuff. When you can see genuinely that they are experiencing minor forms of brain damage because they are not learning, we should be old and we should know how to use the newest technologies because we are learning how to use it. We shouldn't be addicted to them, of course. We want to be wise enough not to be addicted to things like VR or whatever the shit like AI spots or something when they come out. But we should know how to navigate AI and whatever technology there's 100 years from now. We should know how to use these things. We should continuously keep learning. So if you can start to visualize them and almost write it down to form a new identity for yourself that you are a lifelong student, that you'll always keep learning, because really ask yourself, people don't do this. Brother, make a decision right now. Is that the life you want to live? Do you plan to stop learning, or do you want your brain to just stop developing at a certain age? Or do you want to set the intention that you have probably like to keep learning and developing and enjoying and gaining wisdom every single day for the rest of your life? And it will probably make your life better and you'll probably live longer. Set that intention clear right now. I am a lifelong student. I'm gonna keep learning for as long as I live. I'm gonna be the 80-year-old who is still reading books every single day. I'm going to be the 90-year-old who is still exercising. People don't really just set this intention and they are surprised when life just hits them, and they're fat and disgusting and stupid when they are 50 years old, never mind 70. And guess what? The worst part of this all, guys of our age are doing the same things. There are guys your age whose brain and bodies have already started to deteriorate. Not even 70 years old, not even 50 years old, at 16 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old. They are literally poisoning themselves with junk food. They take drugs, they are sleep deprived, they are fucking up their brain and their dopamine receptors. They are taking medication which they don't even know the side effect of. Content consumption and video games, shit, disgusting food, destroying their guts, wondering why they feel like shit all the time and why they have to cover it up with more and more substances. There are people of our age who are already acting as if they are 80 years old, like they've got no time left. Now you may as well just slowly start killing yourself with substances. They are destroying their brain's ability to think and learn. And the same people will complain when you make more money than them. And they'll say,
Oh, we should tax you. We should steal money from you. We should eat the rich.
That's what they'll say. They look to you when you make money and say,
Oh yeah, you should be taxed more because it's unfair that you make more money.
These are people who live like that right now. That's an extreme example, obviously, of like the total degenerates of the world. The thing is that the 50-year-old who doesn't read a book is not far from that. The 50-year-old who's been drinking alcohol for the last 30-35 years, he's not far from that. The first step to living a great life is to just set the intention and to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, this is the life I want to live. I want to be old and I want to be healthy. And I want to still be able to go to the gym when I'm 90 years old. Because bro, there's literally a 92-year-old or something, like maybe 82-year-old African. I think he's from Kenya. He does like an hour of cardio every day. And here we are, people our age literally do less than an hour of cardio a month. Here's an actionable step for you. Decide one good small thing you could do, very small. I'm talking the equivalent of like 50 calories. For example, you could go for a walk every single day for just 10 minutes. That's it. What's a good habit that's small that you could start to do every single day for the rest of your life? Maybe 3 minutes of meditation. Maybe it's 5 minutes of prayer. Maybe it's 5 minutes of deep breathing or what? Or it's 5 minutes of reading. Maybe it's 5 minutes of walking outside. Maybe it's 5 minutes of just playing with your dog with no distraction at all. What's a very small thing for less than 5 minutes? And then also, what's a bad thing that you'll stop doing? A very small bad habit. Maybe it's putting sugar in your coffee or your tea. If you can make it easy enough to literally follow them every single day for the rest of your life, and of course knowing you'll probably still going to miss like 1,000 days, you'll be significantly, very significantly different 20 years from now, more than you would realize. Step 6. When you become successful. Imagine that you have been grinding away for a long time. You have been developing yourself, you have been disciplining yourself, and you've been moderating your desires. Eventually, you build the success that you have wanted all this time. You build the physique, you make the money, you get the status. This is where discipline matters most. And this is also where hardworking guys end up messing. Because when you get those things that you thought you wanted, that's when you take your foot off the pedal. That's when you stop grinding as hard. That's when you get distracted. Mark my words when I say this. Success leads to opportunities that will destroy your success. Let me give you an example. Let's say there's a young man who wants to be an entrepreneur. He starts working super hard. He's literally living at home with his parents and he's grinding away. He wakes up, he does a bunch of deep work, he does a quick workout that's really good for his brain. He's eating a simple diet and he's just grinding on this business which means a lot to him. He does that literally for months and months, reads book consistently, learns, limits the input that's coming from other people, and he's just working on this goal of making $20,000 a month in his business. Eventually, after a long time, he starts to do really well. What might happen to this young man? He's gonna upgrade his lifestyle. He might end up getting a nice partner. Suddenly, he's got a watch that he wanted to show off on Instagram, and he's got a car, and he's got this nice little dinner, and these things seem nice. And yet, he isn't waking up early and working on his business anymore. He's completely distracted. He's not doing the thing that caused him to have this momentum. And it's awesome, the money coming in, everyone's validating him. But what he's not realizing is right now he's riding on the success of his younger self, but he's not adding to it. He's not planting more seeds so that his future self can still have ripe fruit. He stopped planting. What happens 1 month, 2 months, 3 months from now? The momentum starts to drop. He isn't doing what got him here. And worse than that, he might end up going too far into the distractions. You see pictures of Conor McGregor, and he's there, drinking at the party, and everyone wants to take pictures with him. But what happens is, when he's there staying up late, there's another athlete who's still in that sweaty gym, who's still coming home and stretching, and then going back to the sweaty gym after that. And what happens when these two men compete with each other? The guy who's still focused, who's still disciplined, is gonna destroy him. Right now, you might get a little bit depressed hearing this because you might be thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, you might be thinking, but then when do I get to enjoy the success? You can probably understand the concept of how success can lead distraction, but you might be getting really upset thinking, that's the point of it, right? I want to be able to experience the success and status and the money and everything again. This is when you may realize if we have the maturity to be enlightened ones. The reward for discipline was never the material success. That's what the average person ambition is. Maybe a superior man ambition is personal fulfillment. Progression to realizing and opening and embodying your purpose. You have heard about how important purpose is. Maybe that's the reward of discipline. It's nowhere near a school. It's not going to get you as many likes on Instagram, but it will mean that you will die with a smile on your face rather than a man who looks back and thinks,
Man, I could have been the champion and yet the cocaine and the pretty woman got me just like the every other stupid man who becomes successful.
if my younger self was watching this right now for a few years ago, this is the point where he'd lose interest because he would not be able to comprehend what I am saying here. His mind was all about the material desires, and I really want to help you with this. The desires that form into your mind will take you away from the things that are more important. These desires that you have, The idea is okay, we are being disciplined. There's a phrase which has like maintenance is a myth. Just like maintaining in life is a myth because everyone else is still more competitive. So if you are number 50, you can't just stay at number 50 by maintaining because there are another guys who are competitive in life. So when someone else beat you, you are 51, then 52, right? So you can stick here and enjoy some of the results of this point in life. Let's say this point in life is 60% of your potential. Most guys don't even get here. Most guys genuinely get to 25 to 35% of their potential and they stop there. Why? Because there's a girl that they genuinely consider a 5 or 6 out of 10 and they'll stop there. Again, I'm not saying these ratings to be mean or anything. This is just to explain things. They'll stop there. Some of the more ambitious guys will go one level up. They'll get the six packs. They'll get to 12% body fat and they'll stop there. They'll stop working as hard. Then they'll relax. It takes a true killer to get to the point where you have huge success and you're still just fucking disciplining yourself, not even for the greed, not even for the money, but for the journey that it takes you on, for the simple desire of actually wanting to see what your potential is. If you started getting a good level of success, you might be watching this. If you have not got that just yet, but there's going to be a time if you follow the principles from this full guide that you do get a really good level of success. And this concept is probably, hopefully, going to be in your mind thinking,
should I stick or should I twist here? Should I start enjoying my life now?
And I want to reframe your mind. This is not about hating yourself and not rewarding yourself and not enjoying yourself. I think this is the opposite way. I think the best enjoyment in life comes from when you continuously keep disciplining yourself, not when you reward yourself in what the modern world considers the reward. Genuinely, our perception of it is so incredibly cancerous. We think it's spending the money, we think it's buying the nice car and stuff, and taking the holiday and everything. And these things seems nice. But when you really think why we have these desires, it's literally just because if we are totally honest, every guy will cope and say,
no, but I really like the exhaust engine and whatever.
The truth is, if we are really honest, the nice car, the reason why we are spending tons of money, the reason why is because we are hoping that someone on the street does that little neck turn, and that little neck turn is why we'll go and sacrifice our future. This is where most men are headed towards, and it's utterly important for you to really start to clarify your desires. But I think that the best life we may be able to have is one of continuous discipline to ever strive for more, not material success, but more from ourselves. To realize the potential that we could get to realize that it was never about these material desires, the money, the status, the subscribers. It was never about that. It was about having something challenging that we actually liked, something that hopefully contributed to the world in some way. When you reframe your mind with the things that you are disciplining and you start to see them purely for this thing of like, I wanted to change myself, I want to get better, I want to contribute to the world in some way, that's when I think you start to feel like you are getting rewarded every single time you work. People see you working and you are actually just playing. I wish my younger self was able to watch this guide because I tell him one thing right now. When you use discipline consistently, you will build the success. And when you build the success, the distractions will come. And if you do get distracted by them, you lose the success. You lose the discipline and you'll just go back down. So for this actionable step, let's do a visualization together. Whatever you are working hard on right now, if you imagine yourself that you've finally got the real world material success that you've thought that you've wanted all this time, if you have been working hard in your fitness journey, maybe it's the physique, maybe it's the Instagram followers of your fitness page. If you have been working hard in business, then maybe it's the money. And after a few weeks of this or months of this, how it's going to feel when you finally look back to the analytics, the data, and you realize that you have genuinely, significantly backtracked. You're not waking up at 5 a.m. anymore. Now are you? So what's gonna happen to all of the material success then? The money, the car, the likes, when you aren't doing the things to maintain that. Step 6.1. Slow down. In the early days, you're like a speedboat. It's very important that you can correct course and be able to realign yourself and move quickly. But once if you have built the success, it's more like a cruise ship. Set the direction and go there. You don't want to stop and alter courses too often. Thinking about that analogy, if you are closer to the start of this journey in some areas, let's say with the fitness, it's way better for you to move like a speedboat. Be quick. For example, you get the thought, maybe I want to start going to the gym. You sign up for the gym immediately and literally go within 24 hours from now. If you get the thought, maybe I want to try martial arts, you sign up for the gym and literally go within 24 hours from now. The same goes for those aspiring YouTubers who have been thinking about this for the last year. The route to success at these early levels is literally just shut the fuck up and start immediately. Speedboat, go fast, make your first video within 24 hours from now, and then you'll start to feel it out and see what's happening. But if you are specifically watching this because you are later in this journey or you know that you will eventually get there, it's actually important for you to slow down and really question it. Journal it and ask a bunch of questions. So, the way that I personally do this is what I call the decision making framework. It's essentially just a list of questions that I ask myself when making a decision. So, I end up making a decision quite slower instead of just having decision in my mind, often based on emotions. You have probably heard that you could literally have an emotion because you ate sugar yesterday or had too much coffee this morning. That emotion, coupled with some sleep deprivation and a bit of influence from something you have seen online, maybe one of my videos, could lead you to make a decision that changes your future without realizing it. It probably just happened because you ingested sugar yesterday. At this level right now, any of these extra desires in your mind, any of these extra decisions could be extremely chaotic and very stupid. So my decision making framework, which I'll walk you through right now as an actionable step, is one way that forces me to take a few minutes to be seated here. Often I do it first thing in the morning when I am actually in front of my computer with the list of messages and questions that I have to put a decision through. I'll walk you through the exact step-by-step protocol of what I do. For example, my mind could have just generated a thought, like a desire or whatever. I should make this new product or change the style of my videos. These are huge questions to be thinking about. So this is when I put them through. I get the thought and I come into a notes page. Using any software, I literally just use a normal Google Keep. You don't need anything fancy. And I put that as the title. I literally just write it as a question. Should I change the videos from what they are now to this new style that I'm thinking in my mind? And this is a series of questions that I ask myself. What's the question or what's the decision to be made? Just write it out. By the way, this is probably about 50% of the battle. If you write the decision out on paper or PC, normally you have instantly left this weak emotional state and you are looking at it logically. So this is the most important question. Just write it out. What's the decision? 2. Where did this thought stem from originally? Was it something someone said to you or something you saw from others on social media? Try and dig to find its origin. You know how important this question is. 3. What is the dream results of this area? Was it already your big goal in it? For example, for me with YouTube, it might be a specific goal like wanting to get 1000 subscribers next year. Or it might be more of a wholesome intention like wanting to contribute to the body of knowledge. What is the end point that you are first trying to get to? Then, an interesting question. Think about alternative options to achieve the same results. And the question is whether I should change my videos to the style that I'm currently thinking of. But when I think about alternative options, I start bullet pointing them. I could probably just continue doing the same videos. I could change them completely to this new idea. I could maybe post one video with this new idea instead of changing everything, which sounds more reasonable. I could ask people on the community post that what they think about it, and I'd probably get some replies. That would be pretty good data. Suddenly I start to think that maybe the decision in my mind is too extreme and there are alternative options that I consider instead of needing to do exactly what my mind is fantasizing about. Then I have a more actionable step for myself, which is if this is a big decision of high leverage, go and get a response from a smart person first and see what they say about this decision. Next, I have a question. What would my 85-year-old self think about this decision? I try to think from the perspective of my elderly self, maybe on my deathbed, and ponder if the decision is minor or it would seem silly from that vantage point. This kind of calibration can change my perspective because at this point in life I might be overly work obsessed, but when I consider my older self, I might realize that sacrificing something more important like family or friends for the sake of this decision might not be worth it. Finally, the last point of this framework that you can copy to make decision is literally just the text which says decision made followed by your decision. The idea is that you just write down what you have decided on. This process takes a few minutes, but it takes you out of this emotional state and makes you slow down. Doing this could honestly save you years of your life. Decisions are how we become successful. What are you going to decide today? Is it the easy path or the hard path that you are going to decide? The long term thinking or the short term thinking? When you become slightly better at decision just because you have got a framework like this, your life might change forever. So I'm actually very happy to share that with you, and I really do hope it serves you as well as it served me. Step 6.2: be strict with yourself, but tolerance with others. By this point, you have already started to build a great level of discipline, and you have started to see the success of that, which is wonderful. This is where many young guys ask me how they can get their parents into self improvement, or how they can get their friends to start working out and quit bad habits. I've always advised them to try and help, but I understand now that I have never been able to help someone in this. It has always failed. For example, our plan to help this young man or someone else always failed. Why? Because you can be strict with yourself, but the people in your life, your friends, your family, they don't care as much. They might say that they want to change, but they really don't. I understand how saddening and depressing it is to see that the people you love waste away. But you can't force anyone to get onto the path of self improvement and discipline to delay gratification. These things are hard enough when you really want them, and when there's someone who doesn't even want them as much, there's not much hope. However, this is something practical that we can do. You set a fantastic example. You lead by example. Keep disciplining yourself and keep striving to reach the next level. You don't indulge in the desires that arise from success or the distractions. You keep disciplining yourself, and maybe, hopefully, one day the people that we love will be inspired by that. And that's when they'll come towards us, and that's when they'll truly want to change. And that's when we can maybe help them. Step 7: what to do when you fall off. At any point during this journey, whether it's straight away or when you have built up a good level of success, there must be a bit when this climb starts to dip down. There must be. When you look at the graph of success in any area, weight loss, business, subscriber, whatever, hopefully you see over time it goes like smooth curve when you zoom out. However, when you see it day to day, it's literally random. It's always like that until you zoom out and it's been a week, it's been a month, now you see more of a trend. This is what we need to get used to. There are gonna be many days where you feel like you've got fallen off, and so what do? For a lot of guys, when they experience this day, that's when they'll change their plan. That's when they'll be too fast. That's when they'll start thinking,
Oh, I've got to push myself harder. I've got to double the cardio and I'll eat even less.
that's the wrong mindset. Because the better thing to do when you experience a day like this is to try your best to stick to the exact same plan as before. Understand that some days are going to be random and some of the days are going to be successful, and they'll average out if your plan was set in the right direction. Many people will change their plan on the first bad day, and then again, it's like that same concept of just moving too fast, making too shallow decisions, and they are all over the place and fickle with their plans and goals. That being said, if you notice yourself falling off for more than a few days in a row, like weeks or months, for example, let's say you got into meditation at some point earlier this year, and then you literally just haven't meditated in so long, many people will live with this regret inside their minds and not really do much about it. Defining the problem is three quarters of the answer. Like literally just write down the problem. So if you are here right now and specifically you've got this vague pain in your mind, like
I've been slacking in meditation for the last 6 months.
you just take that from your mind and write it down, pen on a piece of paper or use phone notes.
I missed most of my meditation sessions for the last 6 months. Why?
You just take that from your mind and write it down, pen on a piece of paper or use phone notes. Then your brain will actually start to be productive.
Why I've missed it? I don't really want to do it. I don't find them fun. I'm not sure if they are actually that productive.
Then you start asking more questions. Is this reasonable? Is this rational? Is it logical? Probably not because you know.
I know the scientific research. Meditation has proven to be effective. Maybe I'm just coping. Maybe I'm just procrastinating. But I just don't know why I'm not getting consistent in it.
Then you ask some more questions. You almost have like a step by step. As we did with the decision, but with our fallen off framework. Most people just keep it inside their brain. And their brain's thoughts at times like this are always very jumbled. It's kind of like if you imagine, like a pair of earphones, wired earphones. You put them in your pocket and when you bring them out, they're like a ball. That's what your brain thoughts are like. And here you are looking at the ball and getting stressed about it every day. Writing things down is like when you take those earphones and start to unravel them. And now they are organized. That's 80% of the battle. So here is your actionable step. Create your I messed up system right now. Just spend a few minutes really because you know yourself quite well. What would work for you when you find yourself quite aware and vigilant?
Okay, I've slacked recently. I've been missing this thing. I've not been doing this quite well.
What would work for you? What questions should you ask? Should you write this on paper? Should you ask people about it? Should you journal it and write a note? Ending up having some kind of place you could look back onto. Have this collection of knowledge on how to recover from this rut. Set up this system right now. You don't have to completely copy. You know yourself quite well at this point. Okay, I've fallen off these things. These are the things that I've gotten back onto. How do I consistently set this up so my future self is less likely to experience the same pains that I am going through today? Step 8. Remember why you started. By now, I've taught you all that I know about discipline, and the one final message I want to leave you with this is one of purpose and direction and meaning in life. Remember why you started this journey of self improvement and discipline. Who you are doing it for. Because it's not just for yourself. Level 1 thinking is like,
Yeah, it's myself and I want to build, more muscles and I want to make more money.
usually the internal desire that we have is actually for the other people. And so if you just close your eyes one last time and you do think of the points that you do want to get to and other people, their lives are benefiting because of your hard work and your dedication and your discipline here. Being able to help other people and contribute to your community. And help and retire your family. That's what discipline is all about. This is not only for you, but it's for your future children to not have to experience the pain of poverty. We'd be able to retire our parents and our fathers who have worked so hard, and even our distant relatives, just because of the fact that they are blood related to us. Really, that's what the material success of discipline is. The one major thing that I want for my own selfish game and everything is I really want to have this positive word of mouth for this full guide, for all this hard work. I really worked hard on this, so the greatest gift that you could give me in return for this work that I am doing here is just when it's relevant in your life, mention this full guide to someone. If it becomes something in your vocabulary, or you speak to a friend, oh, you should watch Afan's full guide on discipline. You end up commenting that somewhere in the internet, oh, watch Afan's full guide of discipline. That would mean that I have done an awesome job. If this video starts spreading organically through word of mouth, because I make these videos as part of the movement of young men who want something better out of life, who want to get on to self-improvement and experience this good, natural, healthy life, I want to provide the knowledge that of which I wasn't aware of back then. I read 2 entire books whole 22 hours in total just to make this full guide to be able to teach you better. I hope this guide serves you well. Subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon for more videos. Don't forget to like the video, and I think that this may be the single most well-fitting time for me to say, keep working hard and don't give up. Thanks for watching.